Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant and Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, we are going shopping. That's right. I'm going to be taking you to a wonderful spot, and I'm going to introduce you to a great guy. His name is Miguel Jimenez de Avila. His family has a beautiful store called Alfareria Tlaquepaque. It's located in the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta. And his place has just so many cool items. Real Mexican-made souvenirs for you visitors. You can decorate your homes back home with all this great stuff, or you can decorate your new Puerto Vallarta home with just all these great items that you'll be finding over here at Tlaquepaque. But before we get to Miguel, let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 8th of July, 2021. We've been talking about weather every week, and it's rainy season and hurricane season, and we didn't have a hurricane this week, but we had a lot of rain, we had an earthquake, and we had a crocodile swimming off of Los Muertos Beach. Just another summer fun reality in Puerto Vallarta. So anyway, let's start with the rain. We had over 7 inches of rain last week. Combining that with June, which had 11.27 inches, that brings the whole total to 20.77 inches for the whole year to date. Compare that with last year's at 20.5 inches, and we finally have caught up, actually surpassed last year's rainfall to date, and that's great news, but we need more. But I want to thank Angela, the weather lady over there in the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta. She brings us all of that great stuff from her weather station, and maybe one day I'll get over there and interview her. So the earthquake took place on Saturday, July the 3rd at 9:45 in the evening. It was a 5.3 on the Richter scale. It originated in the Pacific Ocean, according to the first report of the National Seismic System. It was 87 kilometers southwest of Villa Hidalgo in the neighboring state of Nayarit. The depth was 10 kilometers, and so far there has been no material damage reported in the region. Just about everybody in town that wasn't drunk or asleep felt it, I imagine. And come on, 5.3 on the Richter scale. What are you trying to do? Tickle me? The crocodile. The crocodile was spotted on the 4th of July. It was off of Los Muertos Pier, just south of the pier in the water. I have a report here from Vallarta Reporter Online. It reads, a crocodile was sighted on Los Muertos Beach in Puerto Vallarta at approximately 3 p.m. this Sunday, July the 4th. Bathers were surprised by the sight, and dozens of tourists recorded the event. There were no lifeguards or police present to help the poor crocodile. In the rainy season, it's common for crocodiles to be swept away by the current of the rivers and into maritime waters, or just to decide to change their habitat in search of new territories. These animals should not be approached under any circumstances, since they can represent a risk to people, either because they want to defend their territory or because they are in search of food. Like your leg. However, while they are swimming in maritime waters, they are just likely only in transit. And I have a link to this article in the show notes. If you are a listener to the podcast, this should not alarm you one bit or surprise you. As a matter of fact, this happens every rainy season. Well, not necessarily the earthquakes, but crocodiles. We see them. They're just so cute, you know. And there was one actually showed up in a hotel room, little baby one. I can't find the article. Maybe next week if I can rustle it up. I'll see what I can do. It seems like the cruise industry is making a move. They're trying to make a comeback. You know, this virus has slowed them down. Every time they try to pick up, they get smacked down. But here is an article in Vallarta Lifestyles Online. It reads, Cruise lines are preparing their return to Puerto Vallarta. This is written by Jorge Chavez, and this was written on June 29th, 2021. For the second half of this 2021, the gradual return of cruise ships is expected, since the key maritime ports of Mexico have created necessary conditions to host them. In the middle of this month, the U.S. company Royal Caribbean returned to Cozumel, a port that represents half of the cruise market in the country. The other half is distributed between Quintana Roo, Baja California Sur, Puerto Vallarta, and Yucatan. These destinations have already started working on a series of protocols to cater for trips that go from the end of July to the fall season. During the end of August and early September of 2021, the return of the Carnival Company is expected, which comes from California and will make stops in Los Cabos, Puerto Vallarta, and Mazatlan. Holland America will also arrive in October with a new route operating with the New Amsterdam. It's a funny name of a ship. I'm sure I slaughtered that one. Let's see, the second largest ship in its fleet. It's a 21-day route from Seattle. It includes stops in San Diego, Puerto Vallarta, Fuerte Amador, Panama, Oranjestad, Aruba, and Half Moon Cay. Other Holland America cruises that will be arriving are the Zuiderdam, which will operate 17 cruises from San Diego between September 18th and April 22nd, and the Nottingsdam, which will operate 23 cruises from San Diego between October 10th and April 3rd, 15 of them with a stop in Mexico. For 2022, the incursion of the Ocean Victory Company is expected between April and October. This new 17-day route is called Pacific Paradise. It will sail between San Diego, California, and San Jose, Costa Rica, but with stops in Cabo San Lucas, La Paz, Puerto Vallarta, Manzanillo, Huatulco, and Puerto Chiapas. Very interesting. That's an interesting little cruise. I have a link to this article in the show notes from Vallarta Lifestyles, and we'll just find out. We'll see if it's going to happen or not. You know, there's been a lot of stops and goes in the cruising industry. We know. I have an interview that I've been holding back that I had with Dean Rager over at Puerto Mágico. I had this interview with him last August. Okay, so it's been about a year. And back then, we had hopes that cruising would be well underway by now, but it is not, and we will see as we await the first of the cruise ships to come here to Puerto Vallarta. Speaking about waiting a long time, finally, the Mexican Supreme Court legalized pot. From Vallarta Reporter Online, Mexico Supreme Court decriminalizes recreational use of cannabis. On Monday evening, Mexico Supreme Court struck down laws which criminalize the recreational use of cannabis. The decisive 8-3 ruling came after advocates pushed for decriminalization as a means to reduce drug-fueled cartel violence in the country. The court declared the prohibition of cannabis unconstitutional in 2018, leading lawmakers to move forward on passing a bill. However, after a bill signed by Mexico President Andrés Manuel López Obrador struggled to make it through Congress, deliberations weeks after set the deadline, the court moved to vote. To legally obtain cannabis now, citizens must apply for a permit from the country's health regulator, the Federal Commission for Protection Against Health Risks. The Supreme Court said once permitted, anybody over 18 years of age can possess up to 28 grams of cannabis, the Supreme Court ruled. Before, Mexican citizens were able to access cannabis, but only after filing a court injunction. The use of medical marijuana has been legal in Mexico since 2017. Mexico will also allow the cultivation and harvesting of marijuana plants after obtaining a permit from said health regulator, said a statement in the Supreme Court. The use of marijuana has been legal in Mexico since 2017. Mexico will also allow the cultivation and harvesting of the plants. The court ruled that minors should not consume cannabis and that one should not operate a vehicle or perform any other dangerous activities after consuming it. And I have a link to that article in the show notes. You can find them at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And you might be asking, what does this mean, Barry? What does this mean to the typical traveler? And the answer is absolutely nothing. Nothing. Absolutely zero. Nothing's changed for you guys. You still got to buy it off the streets unless you want to go out and, apply. You can't smoke in public, right? It's not allowed anyway. So the cops can still mess with you. So just be careful, have fun. Don't abuse your newfound freedom, which you don't really have. Anyway, there you go. Congratulations to all you folks in Mexico, all you Mexican citizens out there. You now can freely smoke the weed. Just get a license. I got a really nice email from a new listener. His name is Alan, and it reads, "Greetings, Barry. My name is Alan. I live in Orange County, California." Hey, we're neighbors, Alan. I traveled to Puerto Vallarta in December for a week. I returned again in January and was recently there in June for 2 weeks. I have a trip booked in September for a week. I guess you could say PV has captured my heart. I recently discovered your podcast, and I've listened to the 4 latest episodes. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to you and your guests talk about favorite restaurants, tips for visiting, warnings, and everything. I was looking on your website for a link where I could make a small but heartfelt donation to support the great work that you do. If there is no such link, what can listeners do to better support your work? Once again, thank you, Alan. Well, Alan, thank you. Thanks for that kind email, and thank you for listening. I like you right away, not only because you are a lover of Puerto Vallarta, but you also spell your name the same way my dad does. My dad spells it Allen, which is very unusual, as you know. But anyway, by the way, he's 90 years old. He's in love with a fellow resident over at his retirement home that he lives in, and he talks about having sex with her. It's really gross. Anyway, Alan, I don't have a Patreon page. I don't have a donate button. I don't have any of that stuff on my website. And actually, I've thought about it. But, the whole idea of this podcast, and you're a new listener, so you may not know, you don't know this, but the whole idea was to make this a value for value thing where if you're planning to take a tour, or if you're going to be going, somewhere like that, you would go to vallartainfo.com. You would book your tour through JR, right from his website, like I say, at the end of every podcast. And of course, you would go to vallartainfo.com, which is JR's website. It's a tour selling website. It's also a fount of great information about all things Puerto Vallarta. Of course, mine is as well. So you go to my website and you have, but you didn't find a donate page. But anyway, I encourage you, if you're a listener and if you're planning on taking a tour or anything like that while you're in Puerto Vallarta, that you book it through JR. Just check out his website. and see if there's anything at least that might be of interest to you. Now, if you have absolutely no desire to book a tour, then I suggest, and what I would love you to do is maybe visit one of the places that I talk about. And when you do, if you go to one of the restaurants or a shop or a charity or any of the places that we take you to, let them know why you're there. Let them know that you heard about it on the podcast. And that's all I really ask, is that you would kind of spread the word and just let them know why you're there. And you may be happily surprised by their reaction. Anyway, the idea of me asking for a donation, it would dilute my efforts to help my friend JR, for one, or my restaurant friends, the charities, the institutions, the organizations that I take you to each and every week. And the honest truth is that I'm a real estate agent. I work really hard. I've earned a reputation with my wife being really hardworking and honest. And as a result, we are rewarded with big commission checks. And so like airfare to Puerto Vallarta from Los Angeles is cheap. And as you know, whenever I go to Puerto Vallarta, if I'm not with my wife, I'm staying at a, little 2-bit, Airbnb, something that's not going to be very expensive. So really what I'm saying is I don't need your stinking cash. And I mean that in a loving way. I do. So use JR, use his website over at vallartainfo.com if you're going to be booking a tour. Donate to Vallarta Food Bank or Corazon de Nina or to Rise, or just visit one of the places that I take you to. Just let them know why you're there. That's all I ask, Alan. And thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for thinking about me. Thanks for thinking about donating to me. That's totally heartwarming. I truly appreciate that. Now, I have been wanting to talk to you about what's happening in the podcast space. It's very interesting. There's some new things that are going on. There's also some bad things that are going on. There are people that are being deplatformed. I want to talk about that, but let's talk about that maybe next week if I can fit it in. Let's get to our guest, shall we? I met Miguel in a bar. I know. It happens all the time in Puerto Vallarta. But actually, I've had many conversations with Miguel. I just never thought about asking what he did. And we were drinking, and Alex from Bar La Playa says, Barry, why haven't you interviewed Miguel yet? And he says he'd be a great guest. So I look over at Miguel, and I look over at Alex, and I go, Miguel, what's he talking about? Have you been hiding something from me? What are you hiding from me? So he says, well, I run this place called Tlaquepaque. And I know this place, so anyway... I say, you mean the place over on Calle Mexico, over there in 5 de Diciembre, over there, that Tlaquepaque? And he says, yeah, that one. So first I scolded him for holding out on me. What are you doing? And then I made him a promise to fit me into his busy schedule before I left town. Now, his store is named after a place in Guadalajara. Tlaquepaque is part of the Guadalajara metropolitan area. These include municipalities of Guadalajara, Tonalá, Zapopan, Palmulco de Zunguilla, El Salto, Isla Huacán de los Membrillos, and Juanacatlan. Their combined population of 5 million spread over an area of 2,734 square kilometers, and that's a whole lot of people. So I made an appointment, and I walked down from my little Airbnb condo just up the street from Miguel's place. The store is big. It has beautiful merchandise, and you can stop in and pick up, for a very reasonable price, a piece of Mexico that you can bring home with you. Or if you live in Puerto Vallarta, you could literally decorate your entire condo or your villa with items that you purchase over here at Tlaquepaque. Now, during the interview, Miguel and I were interrupted numerous times by clients because this place is so busy. So don't get the impression that we were just sitting there doing nothing. We needed to stop a whole bunch of times. But I think I was able to do a pretty good job of editing this and getting out all of those interruptions, considering. So let's go right now over to the corner of Avenida Mexico and Calle Chile, and let's find out what's going on over at one of my favorite places to shop in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Let's meet Miguel Alejandro Jimenez de Avila from Alfareria Tlaquepaque, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Miguel, thanks for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
All right. Well, I was born in Guadalajara. Lived there until roughly I was 17. Then I went off to Indiana University to do finance. Finished that. And then I moved to Mexico City to do a degree in business engineering.
Wait a minute. There's a degree in business engineering?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a mix of industrial engineering and business administration.
Excellent. Okay. So that was in Mexico City?
Yep.
What part of Mexico City were you in?
That was in the south part, in San Angel. The university is called ITAM.
ITAM.
It's an economics school, basically.
Yeah. All right. So from there?
Then my uncle all of a sudden called me, said he needed some help here in Puerto Vallarta. So I said, why not? Mexico City got too big for me, so I said, it's time for the beach.
Excellent. All right. So your uncle opened this place?
Great uncle opened it, and that was about 69 years ago. Initially, the store was closer to downtown, more or less by the main church, about a block and a half, 2 blocks from there. And about 40 years ago, it switched down to where it is now.
Which is in Cinco de Diciembre.
Yep.
And what corner are you on here?
We are on the corner of Mexico and Chile. It's 1 block after Ley.
Right. So that's a great landmark. It's 1 block south of Ley. So it's towards... I mean, you'll hit Tlaquepaque before you get to Ley if you're coming up the street here from the romantic zone. So you've got this sign, and it's got this funny name on it. It says Tlaquepaque, but on top of it, it's even a stranger name.
The full name of the store is Alfareria Tlaquepaque, which Alfareria just means a place where they make clay. And we sell more than clay now in the store, but originally it was all clay.
It was all clay. All right. So these clay pieces, what kind of clay pieces are we talking about?
It's the traditional Mexican clay that burned in big stone ovens. Use them for food. You could see them at most of the restaurants here, the hotels, a lot of people's houses. Just been around for, I think, 200 years more or less, that style.
Wow, that's incredible. So when you've got plates, you've got bowls, you've got jugs, you've got lanterns, you've got all kinds of things.
Originally it was just clay, but then we started adding lampshades, wooden salad bowls. Talavera is a big thing now. Ceramic, blown glass from the Tlaquepaque area in Guadalajara. We have now big clay statues, baskets, traditional Mexican toys, molcajetes, just everything handmade from Mexico. Everything here is handmade from a different area.
So it's not all from Tlaquepaque.
No.
So your Tlaquepaque is your hand blown glass. It's your
just the glass.
Just the hand blown glass.
Just the glass.
Interesting.
And lampshades.
Okay.
Everything else ranges from, some comes from Guerrero, Michoacan, occasionally Oaxaca, Puebla, Tlaxcala. We try to buy from all over.
Yeah. All right. So when you do that, you're reordering things, or are you actually going down looking for new things? How does that work?
Every once in a while, I'll travel looking for new things. I'll look online. I'll go to trade shows. Just really try to find it wherever we can. But most of the people we deal with are families. They're, the grandfather started, and now the son does it. Maybe his son as well does it. It's very small.
And very traditional,
yes.
It sounds like. So when they do kind of do something a little bit different, that may be kind of far and in between, I imagine, right?
Exactly. It could be a bit tricky to deal with because you're dealing directly with the person who's making it, and it's a slow process at times.
Are these artisans disappearing?
Yes, they are. I mean, some of the people we buy from, we've been buying from them for 40 years, but now the person in charge really doesn't want to do it anymore, and maybe they don't make as much as they did before, and some have just disappeared.
They just kind of say, we're going to do something else. And then, so little by little, fewer people are doing that stuff. Are people, are you find like Chinese knockoffs of some of these kinds of things, or are they kind of staying away from these traditional pottery items?
No, you do see them, and a few times we've gotten some Chinese knockoffs, and we send them back. We don't put them in the store, since we ask for traditionally made things here in Mexico.
How do you recognize it? How do you recognize a knockoff?
Well, the quality won't be as good, and what happens a lot, you'll notice that each piece looks identical, and that's when they start making them on a larger scale. They have molds. They aren't handmade anymore. It just looks too suspicious to be.
Yeah, to be the real thing.
Yes.
And these are all handmade. Is that what you're saying? So, but they use molds on these, right?
They do, but the mold is just to make the first piece. You still have to hand paint it and do a bit of work with your hands.
Okay, very good. What would you say is your most popular item that you sell here?
I'd have to say it's between the blue and white ceramic from Hidalgo and the hand-blown glasses from Tlaquepaque.
So they like the Talavera.
They do. Ceramic is different than Talavera.
That's different.
The region it comes from, and Talavera is you burn it a bit more, so you can put more detail into the painting. The ceramic is just has a simple blue and white swirly design. I'm sure most people have seen it here in Vallarta or in Mexico. It's very popular.
Okay, so there's a difference. The ceramic and then Talavera's got more color, right?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And then, of course, you've got, like, I'm sure that you do a lot of, like, decorating people's houses. They're moving into a place and they're coming in here and they're probably going crazy, right? They're going, oh, my God, this is what I need.
Yep. I've had a lot of great clients come in and fully, whether they just got a condo or they're redecorating, as you said, they've filled their houses with stuff from here.
Yeah. Now I see that you have fixed prices on your things, which means that it's a fair price to begin with, right? You don't want to come in here and start bargaining, right?
It's my family. We've never liked having to barter. I think when you walk in a place, you should see the price. It, as you said, be a fair price, so you know what you're getting for the price.
Right, and you don't that way nobody gets embarrassed around here. It's just this is the price. This is the good price. Now I see you've got you got a whole basket full of walking sticks, of canes over there, and I bet you sell a lot of those here, don't you?
I do. The people love the traditional canes here with colorful designs, and they hand etch them with different patterns.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I've been looking at them now. They're just gorgeous. I mean, if you collect these things, it's actually a piece of art. And if you break your ankle out on the street, you got one of those anyway. So there you have it. You have lots of different artwork, like ceramic artwork that is like statues and vases and all that stuff. And it looks like you've got some of these big vases that are kind of water fountains too. Yes?
No, those right there they're unfinished vases, but people really like that rustic style. It does well in the outside temperature here with the humidity and with all the rain. It's easy for the painted vases to get imperfections in them.
Yeah,
they won't last that long. These, however, because it's just straight up clay, they will last forever outside.
Excellent. All right, that's good to know. So the painted ones, look out! Don't leave them out in the tropical sun too long.
Exactly.
I see that you have tiles also, and you've got these. They look like little suitcase things. What are those?
The wooden chests there, those are from Michoacan. They're used to. They make a great present for a gift, and then they look great as a decorative piece. And the interesting thing about those, when they're made, they put a lot of termites on them, so it makes little holes, and then they burn them off. So it has a unique look to it.
Well, they're pretty cool. It looks like you could really make a nice gift of a bottle of wine in one of those things.
Yes. There's one that is the perfect size for any bottle.
All right, you guys. You got to see this. I'm going to have pictures of the entire inside of the store. You can all find it, of course, at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com and check out the podcast about Tlaquepaque. All right, let's leave the shop for just a minute. Let's go out into town. Let's talk a little bit about places that you like to eat. This is our bonus round. People want to know. They travel on their stomachs. They want to know what people who live here eat and where they go. So can you give us kind of a little bit of a breakfast and lunch and dinner favorite cavalcade here?
All right. So right now, lately, I really like going to Cha. It's in Versailles. They have a good selection, just your typical breakfast. I think they only stay open till 3 p.m., but and honestly, any place right now is pretty good in Versailles. I think they have the best restaurants in the small space.
Yeah, a lot of up-and-coming things, new surprises. What do you get when you go to Cha? What do you order?
I think this last few times I've had eggs Benedict.
Tell me, man. So they make a good eggs Benedict.
I'm just a big fan.
Yeah, all right, excellent. What about lunch?
Lunch. Well, honestly, I usually don't really go out for lunch. I eat here at home. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's always nice to stop by for lunch quickly at Los Muertos, the brewery. They have a really cheap lunch special. I think it's like 75 or 85 pesos. You get a slice of pizza, a side salad, and a beer. Yeah.
Oh, great deal. And, you get a little buzz on top of it. You can't beat that.
Yeah, and you're in and out quickly.
Yeah. What about dinner? What's your favorite dinner spot?
Dinner. There's just so many. Honestly, I think here in Vallarta we have an excellent selection.
So if you were going to go somewhere for steak, where would you go?
Actually, just last week I went to the Cántaro for the first time. Had a ribeye. I think it was the best steak I've had in Vallarta at a restaurant.
So what about if you were going to go for a seafood dish? Where would you go for that?
Seafood dish. I think I'd have to say Barracuda, just because they have quality food, and then the view is great. You got the beach right in front of you, and then right next door you have Solar, so stop for a drink afterwards.
Right. Nice music, a great vibe down there. Yeah, that's a great choice. What about sushi? Do you do sushi?
I do. Sheraton's new sushi restaurant is. I enjoyed it, and it's pretty close to me. I think it's called Umai or.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You have to tell me.
Yeah, it's right next. It's within the Sheraton, but you don't have to be staying there to go. But it was. I liked it.
Did a nice job.
Yeah.
What's your favorite brunch?
Brunch. Ooh. I have been to the Sheraton brunch a few Sundays. It's always a fun time. I think it's about more or less 600. It's unlimited mimosas, and that's usually all I ever have. But when it comes to food and going for a brunch at Traviata on Sundays as well, they have a brunch from, I think, like 9 to 2, where it's, again, unlimited mimosas and just a breakfast buffet. It's typical Mexican food, but the price is great. I think it runs out at about like 300 pesos. And again, you have a great view there because Traviata is on top of
Honduras.
Yes, yeah. It's on the top of a building.
It's on top of Las Palomas, right?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I love the view from there. And now, do they throw any Italian dishes in there, or is it strictly Mexican?
No, it's just strictly Mexican breakfast.
All right, so talking about Mexican, where would you go for a traditional Mexican meal?
Well, honestly, I'm a big fan of the fondas. So fondas, just the little little hole in the wall sometimes where you get a full meal for about 60 to 70 pesos. You usually get a soup or salad, then the main dish, and some flavored water. There's one right in front of the store almost called Lolita. I think it's the oldest fonda in Vallarta. So
I love Lolitas.
Yeah, I eat there once or twice a week.
There you go. All right. You look at you. All right. So, and it's like right across the street from these guys. So, after you make your purchase, go down there and sit on down there and have a traditional Mexican meal. And they do breakfast there too, guys. So it's a cool little place. They have a juicer, and they do a real nice job with fresh juice. How about if you had a day off and you were going to go somewhere but come back the same day, where would you go?
I usually go to Mascota because that's where half my family's from. It's a small town about 2 hours from here. Lately, I haven't been going, but you could easily go in the morning, see everything there is there, and come back in the late evening. And I think there's buses that could take you there, but if you do have a car, it's only about an hour and 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
Just,
so it's worth it, right? Is it small town Mexico? What's it like there?
Has a population of about 7,000. Everyone there knows each other. They've lived there most of their lives. Just really, it's one of the pueblos mágicos of Mexico. There's a few of those, but just very typical old Mexico.
If you're going to stay a night there, where would you stay? Other than at your house, because I know you got a place there.
There are about 6 or 7 hotels there. Most of them are located downtown, but the Mascota's so small. I mean, everything's basically downtown.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy to find a room if you need one.
It is.
Okay, excellent. What about a place to eat over in Mascota? What's your favorite restaurant down there? Up there?
It's actually called Tapanco. It's not the Tapanco Vallarta. It's just a small restaurant where they make mostly Mexican food and some Italian dishes.
Okay, all right. And what if you had 3 days? Where would you go if you had 3 days off?
3 days. Around this area?
Well, you got 3 days. It's like, what am I going to do?
Well, right now I'm actually planning a trip to Querétaro where you can find, it's not too hard to get there. By car, I think it's about 7-8 hours, but there is so much to do there.
Yeah. What kind of things do you do in Querétaro, except for watch where they executed the Emperor of Mexico?
It's the quickest growing city in Mexico, so there's a lot of good restaurants, a lot of sightseeing. You have San Miguel only about 30 minutes away. You have there's a great beer garden which I like to go to called Hercules. The downtown still has that old vibe to it, where paved streets that you could walk around. There's small bars. There's little restaurants on each corner. So it's just a fun place for a 3-day getaway.
Excellent. All right. And I know they got some wineries there too. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they got Freshenet, and they offer some great wine tours.
Yeah. All right. All right. Talking about wine, talking about booze. Let's come back here. What's your favorite bar around here?
I've got a few of those, but
yeah, you don't have to get anybody in trouble. You can mention a couple of them if you like.
All right. I think my favorite one is it's a small bar in front of the Lázaro Cárdenas Park called Bar La Playa. Great cocktails. That's actually where I met Barry there.
Yeah, yep, sure did. And you know what? Before we get into the great cocktails, Miguel introduced me to my new favorite drink, which is it's got coffee in it, and it's incredible. Tell me about that drink.
It's a Carajillo, so it's espresso and liquor 43, and you just throw it into a shaker, and you shake away.
Yeah,
and pour it like that.
Oh man, great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, what you got? Another bar you like?
I like going to Monzon. They make a great beer there. Owners are great people. Just good food as well. Other places, the new Yamback is pretty fun. It's 3 levels. Second level has they do a variety of music because I know like Thursdays they got hip hop nights. Last Sunday when I went, they had this great group as well.
Where is that? Up in the marina?
No, Yambak it just opened 2 weeks ago. It's where Ingrata used to be, and that is on, I believe, Abasolo. It's about 1 block up from Morelos.
Oh, it's right here.
Yep. Yeah. The first one was in Sayulita. It's been there a few years.
Yeah. And then they also weren't they up in San Sebastian too, or no? That was a different one.
No, that's La Nebulosa.
Nebulosa. That's right. Okay. There's so much good beer going on around in Mexico nowadays. It's amazing.
And in the last few years in Vallarta, it's really just taken off. So
yeah. Well, fantastic. All right. Well, I'll have to put that on my map. I didn't know that they were here. If you had a word of advice for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta, what would it be? Besides come to Tlaquepaque and empty your shelves.
Honestly, walk around. Don't and look for the small blogs, kind of like yours. Like, look for that. Just don't do solely the big tours.
Okay, good. That's good advice. And what about a word of warning? Got any words of warning for someone coming into Puerto Vallarta for the first time?
It is hot. Be prepared to sweat.
Okay, those are. You nailed it. I think on both of those. I like that. Do you have any tips or advice for people who are coming here and they gotta exchange money? Or what's the best way to deal with exchanging dollars to pesos? Is it better to do it at home first, or is it better to do it here first? Or
I know the banks here, actual banks, don't use the small currency exchanges since they tend to give you worse rates. But even right across the street from me, Banco Azteca, they offer a solid rate. Intercam offers a great rate. You're going to have to carry around a copy of your passport or your actual passport. If not, they won't exchange currency. But
right. Okay.
Other than that, and avoid the ATMs that give you dollars. They will give you the worst rates possible.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Why would somebody want to get dollars down here? They just don't know, right?
They have them all over.
Wow. All right. So, and I've seen them in like their little payola machines, and they're outside. They're not in banks. They're like out on the street. So watch out for those. Don't get tricked by those. Go to a bank ATM, or if you've got cash that you need to exchange, follow Miguel's advice. If you had a friend coming into Puerto Vallarta and there was only just one place that you could take them in town, you just didn't have time, but where would the one place be in town that you would say this is Puerto Vallarta?
Honestly, that's a hard one because there's just so much to Vallarta, but you're only gonna do one thing. I think you gotta do the traditional thing and just walk along the Malecón. Just go in walks.
Yeah, and now Malecón is about a mile long, so be ready for that. Right? It's about a mile. Am I right? I think it is. So be ready for that. Wear some comfortable walking shoes and make sure you got a hat because of el sol. It is sunny and hot. So make sure that you're prepared for that. All right, well, let's come back. Let's come back to Tlaquepaque, or that funny name. What is it? Ferreteria Tlaquepaque? No, not Ferreteria. That's something else.
That's a hardware store.
That's a hardware store. Yeah. What?
Alfareria Tlaquepaque.
Alfareria. Okay, I can't even say it. Do it again.
Alfareria Tlaquepaque.
Okay, very good. What are your hours? What days are you open?
All right, we're open from Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, so you have no excuse not to come here. They're open all day long. What's your address?
It is Avenida Mexico 1100. So right on the corner of Mexico and Chile.
Okay. And you got Facebook, you got an online presence?
We got a Facebook, Instagram, and I believe that's it.
All right, good. Well, I'll have links to all of that. They'll be in the show notes, and I'll also have a Google map that'll take you right to the front door of Tlaquepaque. And make sure when you come to Puerto Vallarta that you come visit Miguel, and you won't be disappointed. Miguel, I want to thank you for allowing me to come into your lovely store and for allowing me to introduce you to my listeners. I truly appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, Barry.
All right, Miguel. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for sharing Tlaquepaque with us. I have pictures and I have a map that'll take you right to the front door of Tlaquepaque. I have links of the places that Miguel talked about and, great pictures of the inside of this beautiful store. You'll get a great idea of the kind of things that you'll be able to snatch up and take with you, either back home or to your home in Puerto Vallarta. All right, well, that should do it for this week. I want you to stay tuned for next week for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, with great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, just remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him, right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, please email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, JR's got his maps. We've got his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. Go there. Check it out. Check out his website. And I have links to all of those right in the show notes. Once again, if you like this podcast, please take some time and share it with a friend. Subscribe wherever you happen to be listening and make a good review. That would be really great. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that every episode that I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to have a look there. I have links to the places we talk about. I have interesting pictures and more, all right there in the blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. Thank you, Miguel Jimenez Davila from Alfareria Tlaquepaque in Puerto Vallarta. See, I can say it. Stop in, say hi, buy some cool Mexican handicrafts. They've got great glassware, dishes, all kinds of things that you can decorate your home or your condo with. You just need to stop in. Say hi to Miguel. And, hey, thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler, signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino, perno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta.